Good morning, everybody. Well, we're back again, and I know I say this every Saturday, but it's truly an exciting, fulfilling time for us in the studio. It's even more so today because we're seeing some results, some changes. We're not seeing some changes. We're seeing a title change in the way automobiles are retailed and how the manufacturers and dealers are treating the consumer, and I think we can take a teeny weeny bit of credit for that. We've been a little bit of a spark on that, and you have too, because your calls are what keeps us going. If you didn't listen, if you didn't watch, we're streaming on Facebook, and we're streaming on YouTube. If you didn't listen to the show, then of course we wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be able to get this information out to the consumers. And a lot of the people that we've contacted. We have one in particular, Nancy Stewart, my co-host, has been in touch with a victim, with a woman that had been victimized by a car dealer, and because of her advice and the show's advice, she contacted the Attorney General. She's really gone to a lot of very specific, diligent efforts to resolve her problem. And she is really an educated consumer. So we get these stories, they come in, they keep us going. If you have a story, we'd love to hear from you. Anything about whether you've been victimized or have a friend, especially if you took some action and got results, because these add incentive to a lot of people. There's a lot of people, they get taken advantage of, and they're embarrassed. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to take the time. They're too busy in their lives to go through the details of a formal report. And I'll show you what a report to the Attorney General's office looks like in a little while. It takes them a while. It's tedious. You have to go through. They try. I really believe the system has devised it to discourage complaints to consumer agencies. I really believe that. So if you are of a mind to be able to go through the process, you can get some results. Call us at 877-960-9960. And you might want to write this number down because you might not have a comment now. You might not have a question. Again, that call-in number is 877-960-9960. And you can text us. Just Stu Stewart sitting across from me here. He keeps a log of all the texts that come in, and we get to the texts during the show 99.9% of the time. The text number is 772-497-6530. Text number again, 772-497-6530. And fairly popular venue to contact us is our youranonymousfeedback.com. It's a web address. It's a website. You go there, and it's a form. You fill out. You ask your question. You make your accusation. You make your whatever you want to say. You write it, and it goes to us anonymously. Your Y-O-U-R anonymous ANONYMOUS feedback.com. And Stu also monitors that. We get to them pretty much 100% during the show. So we got telephones, of course, YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. If you're a YouTuber, YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. Rick Kearney, sitting to my right here, who is our certified diagnostic master technician. He knows all and sees all. If you're streaming us now, you'll see Rick has a mask on and we don't. In an abundance of caution, his wife was diagnosed positive with COVID, and he was tested yesterday. He's negative, but just an abundance of caution.
He just had it.
He's protecting us.
He just had it.
Yeah. So he's really handsome. He doesn't look like. But Ed, if you have any kind of a problem with your car, if it's squeak, rattle, or roll, describe it. Ask Rick. And he has got the answers to 99.9% of your questions. I can guarantee you. Highlight of our show, Mystery Shopping Report. Got another good one. And Agent Lightning did a great job. They're all interesting. This one was quite different. It was kind of a laid-back hometown, kind of a homey kind of a thing. It was not a typical South Florida, but we'll see. I don't want to give it away. We won't grade it. And of course, Nancy Stewart, my co-host, is sitting next to me, and she's also my wife. We started this show about 20 years ago at half an hour on a little radio station called Seaview, and now here we are in the big time, 2 hours. And we're with a much larger station, much larger listening audience, and we think we're doing some good. Nancy is a strong advocate for the ladies in the audience, and she has almost single-handedly built our lady callers up to about 50-50. And our texters callers from the ladies are amazing. We have one, I don't want to make anybody else mad, but Anne Marie, our texter, is absolutely phenomenal. And she has another text for us this morning, and she does every morning. But the ladies in the audience have made fantastic contributions thanks to Nancy Stewart, and she has a special offer for you that will incentivize you to call the show if you're a lady and if you haven't called the show before. First two ones. Nancy will explain that to you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Gosh, we enjoy your company. Why? You're a big part of the show. You educate us every Saturday morning, and we look forward to your calls, your texts, your YouTubes, at all. Again, thank you for joining us. This morning, I can't say anything until I say you have to read one of Earl's real important columns, and you can go to Earl on Cars, and you can find it, and that is How to Know If a Florida Car Dealer is Breaking the Law. And you can go to www.floridalawprotectingcarbuyers.com. Real important. Our voices must be heard. And I'll tell you what, we are doing fantastic. We're doing fantastic because of you. You have joined us. We've connected. And there is power among us. And we are going to change the auto industry. I know it. I believe it. And you must. Give us a call, 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Ladies, you're a huge part of the show. Give us a call. You can win yourself $50. $50 for the first two new lady callers. And Lori, if you're listening, at any time, you can give us a call. We appreciate you going above and beyond and staying with this ongoing lawsuit. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Well, I'd like Sue to do a little bit of a summary of our mystery shopping reports. And this one here, Stu just told our mystery shopper, pick somebody. And it turned out to be a pretty good pick, Stu.
Oh, we were going to try and do a third Costco mystery shop. And it's so hard now. Really, the same few dealers keep showing up over and over again that the dealers are really not participating because of the Costco pricing restrictions that are designed to benefit consumers. So they want the prices to be a lot higher than that. So we had trouble with that. So we told Agent Lightning, go ahead and pick something up in an area she was going to be in this week. So she did. And the weird coincidence is, usually I like to tie in a new mystery shopping report with some older ones. You know, we're trying to look for patterns, changes, and things like that. And I could not find in any of the archives Wallace Kia of Stewart. And I know we shopped a ton of Wallace dealerships. I went back in my email to see, did this happen when I was on vacation? And then Josh took care of my brother did the mystery shopping report, as he does in my absence occasionally. And no emails from Josh from mystery shops from Wallace Kia. So I think it's the first time we shopped them. Unless we went back years and years ago before we had our sophisticated
Bev Smith Kia
system.
is close, and they kind of overshadow them. And they do most of the advertising and kind of make sure.
And they're up in Bev Smith Kia is up in Fort Pierce. It's a little farther away. And I think Wallace Kia, a lot of the dealerships share some of the contiguous properties, so maybe they're all kind of blended together, and the Kia dealership kind of disappeared from view from us, out of sight, out of mind. But anyway, we had an experience. It wasn't. I'm not going to give it away what was good about it. I don't want to taint the jury because I know you're going to grade at the end. But we had what I consider to be a very old school, and not necessarily in a bad way, an old school salesperson. It reminded me some of the things he did were straight from my sales training like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a retired person that decided to go back. And,
Right.
Yeah. So.
Like me, if I started to sell cars
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. So.
So it's a good one. So stay tuned.
Oh, thank you. How about?
Okay, we are going to get to the phones. I'm going to interrupt everyone. And Linda, hang on. And we're going to go to Howard, who's a regular caller. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. I hope you're all well. And just want to report something that happened to me. I'm still in the Bronx, by the way. I was driving in New Jersey, and a cone fell off a truck, and I ran over it. And so I was towed, my car was towed up to my mechanic, who's not a Toyota dealer, my mechanic in Yonkers. What happened is that he tried to get, the fuel line was broken all the way up to the fuel pump. So he tried to get this fuel line from Toyota, and they said it's a long wait, and so I contacted Josh. So Josh tried to get the fuel line for me from a couple of other dealers, but it was a no-go. So now I'm waiting, and I was told that it could take up to a month or more to get this fuel line. So I don't know why it takes so long. What's happening now with the parts coming from Japan?
Well, Howard, let me jump in here. You text me or called me, left me a message, and I asked Josh to call you and my parts manager, Jeff Doss. So Jeff Doss, our parts manager, checked and found 3 dealers in Southeast Toyota that reported having that fuel line that you needed in stock. And Jeff Doss called your mechanic in Yonkers and told him that. And also, I suggested that they research for a used fuel line. Jeff Doss said that there might be some issues with a used fuel line. In fact, Rick can jump in here, but Jeff says, all things being equal, you'd rather not use a used fuel line because there's some issues. And I said, well, that should be up to the owner and the mechanic if it's a possibility. I Googled used fuel lines. There are quite a few available. So before I say anything more, Rick, what is the risk factor to a used fuel line?
The biggest one is potential contamination in the line itself, rust or bends or kinks when they try to remove it.
Is there any way you can examine it carefully and see that it's good, or is it looks like buying a pig in a
Yes,
poke?
they can be examined, and if it's good, then you're all set.
Okay, there you go.
It's just making sure that it's in good shape.
What do you think about that, Howard? Does that make sense?
My mechanic said he won't do it. He doesn't want to take a chance. My question is, how long does it take before we get this? Could it take months?
No, if we find one in stock, you could have them. If you pay extra for the FedEx overnight it, you could have it tomorrow.
No, I'm talking about a new fuel line.
Oh God, we don't know. That's like it's like asking when your car shortage, microchip shortage, a shortage in exclamation points. So we're short of everything, and we're having cars that are being delivered without accessories that 2 years ago were almost standard on the car. So you can't second guess. You can guess, but it's a wild guess. I recommend, now that you've got the green flag from Rick, to carefully examine the used fuel line and make it clear when you order it what you're going to be doing. Rick had another point.
Well, if there's 3 different dealerships that have an in-stock new part, I would simply contact one of them and say, "Hey, ship me that part." They
reported to have it. I'm assuming the mechanic, Howard's mechanic, did call these 3.
Okay.
3 dealerships. So what we'll do for you, Howard, is I'll have Jeff Doss, our parts manager, contact those other dealerships and verify that it's in stock. But I thought your mechanic, we were trying to work through your mechanic in Yonkers. So if he didn't call to verify that these were in stock, we should double check. And if you can't get a new one, you get a used one, and have it examined carefully by someone that knows how to examine the fuel line. And Rick says you're good to go. No downside as long as you're sure that the fuel line is clean inside and some other things.
Okay, thank you for your help. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, Alan.
Can you give me that text number again?
Sure. It's 772
Yeah.
497 6530. 772 497 6530.
Okay, thank you very much for all your help. I really appreciate it. You
Thank you,
really
Aaron.
did a lot for me, and I know that's the reason why I love you guys. You're the greatest.
Well, we love you too, Howard, so
Well, we are lovable.
we are lovable.
Okay.
All right, thanks,
Have a
Howard.
good day, guys.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
staying with us all these years, Howard. We appreciate your company. We're going to go to Linda, who's calling us from Hope Sound. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I'm calling for an opinion about what to do. I have a 2016 Honda HR-V, and for the first time since I've had it, I have an intermittent air conditioning issue. Sometimes it works, sometimes I have none. Right now I happen to have some, so I feel I'm buying myself a little time. I've called two places, and one is the dealership, which that's the only place I've taken the car since it's been new, which is the Honda here in Stewart. To do the diagnostic on that is $155. I got a recommendation for a private shop, which is supposed to be good, and I called about the same thing, and their diagnostic was $80. It's a big difference, and I don't know whether to take a chance of going to a place other than Honda. I just kind of like an opinion about this.
Well, my comment, and then I'll let Rick comment because he probably has some ideas of what should be checked for an intermittent AC problem. That kind of narrows it down a little bit. But diagnostic charges can be fair and they can be unfair. It's certainly easy to make money fast if you're a car dealer by charging a high diagnostic fee. We don't charge a diagnostic fee for a relatively simple diagnosis, but if we have something that could involve tearing down an engine or transmission, we can't ask a technician to work for 6 hours taking apart a transmission to diagnose a problem, and then the customer says, well, we don't want it fixed, so put it back together again. So at some point, diagnostic charges are fair. I'd suggest you shop around to where you get the best diagnostic charge and go there. But Rick, what do you think it might be? Maybe something you could diagnose.
Well, my first question, when you say the AC stops, is it the temperature suddenly starts getting warmer from the air, or is it that the airflow itself actually stops blowing?
No, it's blowing fine. It may start out in the morning if I go out early, which I usually do, and it'd be great. It'll be cool and very, very nice. And maybe half an hour later, sometimes it'll start to get warmer and warmer, and then you have nothing.
So as the day heats up, the air starts blowing warmer.
Yes.
That sounds like it's a low on charge, which means you probably have a leak in the AC system. So a proper diagnostic in that case is they would need to actually recharge the system, and they'll add an ultraviolet dye into the system. And at the same time, the mechanic should be looking at all the outside components to see if there are any signs of a small leak. It sounds like a pretty small leak. On a 2016 6-year-old car pushing 7 years now, my recommendation to start out would be to find a local independent shop. The $80 one would probably be a good choice. Have them recharge the system, and then see how long that lasts, how long it takes before it starts acting up again.
How about asking them to recharge the system and include the dye?
Right. Well, that should be included automatically.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And then you got half of a diagnosis. So you're going in and relying on Rick's diagnosis and say, please do this for me, and then you drive it, and who knows, you maybe drive it for 2 years and nothing, and it stays cold. Or
Right.
if
You
it doesn't
could
cold,
stay cold for up to a year or longer.
Yeah.
And then consider, because most cases it's the evaporator core that has got the tiny little leak in it.
How much would it cost approximately? I know you don't get into the charges, but you got a better idea than I do. How much? What should it cost to charge AC? Depending on how much Freon it takes, I guess. Or
At our shop, it would be about 1 hour diagnostic, which most shops are going to be $80 to $100 on the outside shops, and they're going to charge you probably about, I'm going to say $75 maybe for the R134 gas that they need to put in. And the dye, of course, would be included in that. And they'll recharge the entire system to get it blowing cold. Plus, they'll inspect to look for any visible, obvious signs of leaks.
Why the diagnostic charge if they're not asking for a diagnosis?
Well, the diagnostic charge in that case is actually the labor of hooking up the machine, basically sucking out all the old Freon that's in there, bringing it into a vacuum, and then recharging the system.
Strange.
So it's the whole recharge feature.
Yeah.
That's the cost of it, and then a visual inspection on it, and then they will probably give you an estimate saying that your evaporator core or something else is leaking, and if it's a low enough price, then go ahead and have it done.
Go with the $85 and you might get lucky, and as Rick said, you might be able to drive it for a year or two without a problem. So
I see.
that's our recommendation.
All right.
And I have a question for Rick. The ultraviolet dye, that allows for a clear, more detailed diagnosis of the system?
Yes, because once that dye once it finds the spot that it's leaking out of, then we'll put on these real high-fashion yellow glasses and shine a special light on it, and that dye will literally glow to show us where the leak is.
Interesting. Lori, this is amazing, isn't it? I mean, here you call the show, and everything here is free. It's free advice. So I'm sorry, I meant to say Linda. At any rate, are you a first-time caller?
No, I'm not. I've called before, and you've been helpful.
Very good.
2 other times in the past.
Be sure to give us a call back and let us know how that went for you as far as getting the system
Thank you.
recharged.
Thank you very much. It explained a lot that I didn't understand. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. That's how we make the information. Thank you so much and have a great weekend.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget, you can go to www.anonymousfeedback.com and you can voice your views. We're going to go to Sarah, who's giving us a call from Boynton. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Nancy.
Welcome,
This is
Sarah.
Thank you so much. This is a difficult call for me because I did something that was kind of stupid, very stupid, and I got tires from a small-time place that had changed owners, and the guy talked me into these tires. I don't even know if they're for my car. I was wondering if I could ask Rick that. My car is it's a Lincoln Hybrid 2012. And there are certain tires that go for it, and this man gave me Bridgestone tires that doesn't even say Bridgestone on the tire. And I don't think that they're right for my car.
I think Rick can answer that.
I think you'd want to get to a reputable shop and have them inspect those tires. Being a Lincoln Hybrid, I'm going to guess that your car most likely should be running run-flat tires. It may be required on that car, and if so, if they put the wrong tires, but I have never seen a company say that, oh, these are Bridgestone tires, even though they don't say Bridgestone. That's somebody's.
Well, they say Dueler HR.
Sarah,
Yes,
Sarah,
Dueler HR is a Bridgestone. That's a model, but But yeah,
Okay.
that is a Bridgestone tire.
Sarah, you've got Costco's in your area, several, and Costco is having
I
a.
do, and I messed up, Earl.
You did.
I really did.
Yeah, we all do that.
Costco's having a tire sale, and
I know.
So-
I know. I'm just. I don't even know what to do. I'll go back to this. It doesn't feel like it's balanced or something, and they didn't do an alignment. Is the worst thing. I might have to go to my dealer and just
Yeah.
deal with it.
Deal with the dealer.
deal with the dealer.
Yeah.
Deal with the dealer. Thank you guys so much. You really are awesome.
Oh, you're welcome, Sarah. And don't feel so bad. You know, we all, at one time or another, just make decisions that, we just didn't want to. But you sound like as if that you could move on and you'll move forward, take care of this, and that Lincoln Hybrid will be in great condition.
Thank you too much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Sarah. Have
You
a
all
great.
have a great day, and I love your show.
Oh, thank you so much. Spread the word. Tell your lady friends.
Oh, always.
Thank you. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
I know you think I'm a broken record on Costco. Nancy and I both shout their praises to the highest every week. The fact is, it's just a really good place to buy something. I'm sorry if you live in an area where you don't have a Costco warehouse near you, but I'm thinking about this situation with Sarah. Not only do they have the lowest prices on really quality tires, but they have a 100% unconditional money-back guarantee on anything you buy. I mean, every time Nancy and I go to Costco, we see a line of people a mile long returning stuff, and there's no questions. They don't give you a hard time. You buy something and you use it, and you don't like it, you bring it back, they give you your money back, and their markup is incredibly low. By corporate law, by Costco order, no product Costco sells is marked up more than 15%. Car dealers mark their parts up 40%, almost 3 times what Costco does. And the products you buy there, if you buy a television, you can buy anything in Costco. If you buy whatever you buy, it's marked up only 15%. In fact, there's some of the products that are marked below cost, and those are the chickens and the hot dogs. And they've kept, you can buy a hot dog and a drink and something else, huge hot dog for $1.50, and you can buy a chicken for $4.99. And they've been doing that for about 30 years, and they haven't adjusted for inflation.
It's their signature.
As many people who just love Costco, there are at times that maybe Earl and I are their poster couple for Costco, and we get reprimanded. Reprimanded. There are some people out there who do not believe in Costco, and they have a different opinion, and they're entitled to it. But for my buck, Costco. Rick?
My only problem, I think I have to buy a second freezer or refrigerator. It fills up too quick because everything's big.
Yeah, that can happen quickly. 877-960-9960. Text us at 772-497-6530. I'll tell you what, you just don't want to miss this show. We have got so much that's going to be going on between Channel 10 and you talk about voices being heard.
WPLG,
There's an uprising.
Miami, Fort Lauderdale, PLG Channel 10.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, there's an uprising, and it is what I call a coup d'etat. And gosh, I love coup d'etats. Rick?
I got an interesting question here from Guy Larrabee. He says, I've been a Toyota owner for 40 years. I'm worried that Toyota may have been just a little too late to the electric vehicle party, and their first effort has not been reassuring. I'm looking at a mid-sized Tesla or a Kia for an electric vehicle. Your opinion?
Well, I'd stay away from the Kia, but Tesla is a great buy.
Model 3. The Model 3 as a midsize
yeah.
is it's not as expensive as the Model S. When I was up in the Northeast this summer, every Uber I got into in Philadelphia was a Model 3
Really?
Tesla.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was. I don't know if
Are
Uber
you serious?
has
How many Ubers did you take?
4 or 5.
Wow.
And also same thing in New York. I took an Uber from LaGuardia to a hotel.
That'll
Model
tell you
3.
something right there. the fact that the Tesla is so reliable that a taxi company, and I think rental companies are also buying electric vehicles.
They're buying a
But
lot,
when you're
yeah.
a rental company or an Uber or a taxi company, you buy a product, you want something that'll hold up, stay out of the repair shop, get good fuel economy. Of course, EVs get a huge.
Oh yeah, I also read that I forgot what rental company committed to buy a ton from General Motors in the coming years.
Yeah.
And it's really neat. General Motors plan with EVs. I read an article that they too seem to be behind the game, but they're working on a battery system that they call Altia or something like that. And it's a modular battery, and it will form the base of their vehicles, but that fits together like Lego blocks. So the same system will be used for the Hummer as it will be for the small subcompacts. They just take it apart. So it's pretty revolutionary. So they're going to come in flooding in the next couple of years.
Nice.
We get some text.
Yeah, got one from Anne Marie here.
Good morning, Anne Marie.
Good morning, Anne Marie. She's got a good one. She says, "Good morning." WESH TV out of Orlando reported that a Flagler County family bought a used Ford F-350 from a dealer in Fruitland, Florida. What makes this newsworthy are the following facts. A month later, they brought the truck to another dealer closer to home for an oil change. The mechanics found discrepancies. It came up stolen. The technicians ran the truck's VIN and found it was not a Ford manufactured VIN. Then they tapped into the truck's software and found that the VIN didn't match the tags on the door or the dashboard. The VIN tag on the door was coming off. The family called the sheriff. Turns out the truck was stolen from a dealership in Colorado. Not only that, the truck was not even the type that the family thought they'd bought. They'd contracted for a 2019 Ford F-350 Super Duty, but investigators found that the truck was actually a 2017 Ford F-350 Super Duty, a model 2 years older. The family sued the dealership with minimal response until they contacted the TV station. So the publicity gave the dealership some incentive to come to a resolution with the family. The Better Business Bureau of Central Florida says the Vin cloning is a method of concealing a vehicle's true identity by copying the VIN information of one vehicle onto the stolen vehicle. Check to see if the VIN tag has been tampered with. Also, the BBB suggests that people should look up the VIN on the state database if possible. If the Carfax report is missing key information, be very careful. And experts say that VIN cloning could happen to anyone. So here are Anne Marie's questions. 1, has your dealership ever encountered any instance of VIN cloning? I don't know. I mean, we've had
We have.
we've had cars that turned out stolen.
We've had stolen cars. We've actually have accidentally sold a car that was stolen, and that was many years ago. I wish I'd known about this before she really got in the weeds, the victim here, because it's pure and simple a violation of law for a dealer. If a dealer gets a stolen car and he resells it, he has to take it back by law and refund 100% of the money. And in this case here, unbelievably, the dealer's refusing to do that. So if this complainant, she's going to get results now because she went to the Orlando television station, and they really blasted it out. So now she's going to get everything taken care of. But the Department of Motor Vehicles would have come to that dealership with a machete and said, "You cannot sell a stolen car."
Yeah.
And when they found out it was stolen, it was also a sloppy job.
Yeah.
It was a Ford dealer, Bill Bryan Ford. And did she mention the location of the?
Central Florida.
Fruitland, Florida.
Yeah, Fruitland. Bill Bryan. Now, they were 2 years off. Here's a Ford dealer selling a used Ford, and they thought it was a 2019, and it was 2017. Now, I could almost make a case that couldn't be a mistake, that it was premeditated. And I would, how's a Ford dealer?
It'd be very hard. Emery's next question was, does your dealership verify that each vehicle is what the VIN says it is? And the answer to that is, we're supposed to, particularly on used cars. You can't do an appraisal. You put the VIN number in, and then it pulls up the information. And if that doesn't match, then that's.
Yeah, if you're suspect, there is a place where the VIN is hidden on the car, and you can check that to be sure. I'm sure that's what the.
Yeah, that BBB advised. But yeah, it can be. And if a dealership is sloppy, dealerships get lucky all the time because here's a typical thing that can happen. Somebody brings a car into trade-in. The salesperson who gets the car writes down a VIN number off an insurance card or another document and then puts that on the paperwork. No one goes out and looks at the car. The used car manager doesn't actually appraise the car. He sits at his desk, puts a number on it, and nobody actually inspects it until it winds up in the used car lot and gets stolen, and it's a stolen car.
But how can you miss the year of a Ford if you're a Ford dealer?
That's what I'm saying. Anybody who's engaged and who is trained and educated would not do that. Yeah. But people who don't want to get up off their desk and sit around, and things can fall through a lazy, sloppy system, and that's how that can happen.
If you buy a car from somebody that you're not 100% trusting in, and you think maybe it might be not quite right, you can always take it to a dealership, and they can check the hidden VIN. Where do they hide them on Toyotas, Rick?
There's actually several locations you can find it. Usually the VIN is printed on the transmission case.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the tag that's on the dash, although it can be a little difficult to read sometimes, that one is extremely difficult to remove and change because you've got to either remove the dash or remove the windshield to drill out the little rivets to hold it in place. Yeah. So they usually ignore that one and change just the sticker on the door jamb.
I think that's what they did in this
which
case.
Which is the easy thing to read.
So how careful could the dealer have been? He had the VIN he could have looked at, but
all you had to do is look through the windshield and read that number, compare it to the sticker.
Look at the truck, because it was 2 years older than the VIN said.
And I don't know if there were many body changes between 17 and 19.
Well, no,
but I'm sure there would have been some changes.
Average citizen wouldn't know, but a Ford dealer, I mean, you had technicians looking at it, you had managers, and salesmen.
Right. Yeah, and it took the other dealership about 2 seconds to figure it out. It wasn't the right year because they looked at it.
And Anne Marie, I got to thank you. I'll tell you what a great asset you are to the show. Always, every single Saturday, you're right here with something new, something to, enlighten us. And in this situation, I'll tell you, whether, well, first let me say, in the auto industry, anything is possible, and you really have to watch your back. And as I always say, knowledge is power. Whether it was sloppy, whether it was, just premeditated, it's a roll of the dice. So I thank you for the information and all the questions. Rick has a question.
I just wanted to say, we had a customer that bought a car on internet, basically, sight unseen, a Camry hybrid, brought it to us because the hybrid lights were on when he bought the car, and the odometer was reading something in the neighborhood like 60,000 miles. And it turned out, as soon as I looked at it, I knew there was something wrong because the car had obvious signs that had been used as a taxi cab and converted back. And it turned out that the mileage on the odometer, although it read 60,000, a Carfax showed that it had actually over 200,000 miles on the car. Yeah. Somebody had simply changed the combination meter with one from a junkyard that showed a lot less miles.
Yeah.
And this poor guy was way out of luck.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. It's done before. Okay, so we have finished up with Anne-Marie?
We're finished with Anne-Marie's text,
yeah. We're going to go to Marty. We're going back to the phones, and Marty is a regular caller. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Great.
I have a question that you may or may not know the answer. And I'm a Costco member, so I'm not knocking Costco. But how come the gas price on North Lake is $3.07 a gallon, and the Costco on Southern Boulevard is $3.25 a gallon? I would assume they get the gas. It's not like they got 100 different gas stations here.
I would assume the same thing.
The gas from the same supplier.
Yeah.
I think gas prices they're affected by the immediate facing competition. Like if you have on a corner and there's 4 gas stations, and I think maybe the individual locations.
But I don't think Costco does that. We talked earlier about Costco. They claim, and it's in their charter or something, that they don't mark up anything over 15%. So I'm assuming you're not marking their gas up over 15%. And as Marty said, I'm sure the source where they fill up the big tanks on Southern Boulevard are the same as the ones on North Lake. So that's a great question. I'd follow up with Costco and ask them the question. Rick has a comment.
By comparison, The Rocket Fuel that is right next to our dealership at US 1 and North Lake Boulevard, yesterday was $3.09 a gallon. The Shell station here at North Lake and Military, where our radio station is $4.39 a gallon.
Yeah, well, we know Costco has a good price.
So the
Marty's
prices are all
problem
over
was,
the place.
Why was it different between
That's
two stores? It
right,
was a
that's
good
one
price
thing I've
at
wondered for a
Southern
long
Boulevard.
time.
It was also a good price at North Lake, but why different? Excellent question, Marty.
Yeah, definitely, Marty. And it's been asked
I
often.
don't know if they'll give me an answer, but and it's obviously it's not thousands of dollars, but all their products inside are the same price, no matter whether you're on North Lake or whether you're on Southern.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Marty, give me the prices again. The Southern Boulevard was how much?
All right, Southern Boulevard it's $3.25 a gallon,
Okay.
and on North Lake it's $3.07.
Okay, I've got a friend in Costco management, and I will call him and see if he can answer it, and we'll try to get an answer to it. It could be the old, somebody just screwed up. I mean, Costco is not perfect, and maybe somebody didn't get the memo that they were either raising or lowering the price, and one warehouse was just out of step. We'll find out, and I'll let you know.
And I can just tell you, Earl, this has been going on. I mean, this is not new.
Oh.
This is for months. Whatever it is, North Lake has always been cheaper.
Interesting. Well, you're breaking news.
I agree with you, Marty.
Costco
I've
is
had
not
the
perfect.
experience.
All right. I mean, I know eggs are the same no matter whether they're on North Lake or Southern.
Yeah.
So the gas should be the same.
Thanks, Marty.
Okay.
Have a great weekend.
I'd be interested to hear your answer. Thanks, Earl.
Thank you, Marty.
And Stu, to what you said, about the gas stations, you can take 4 of them, one on each corner. And, location, location, location. And there's a lot of variables, whether you're going north, south, east, west, what's convenient, what isn't. And they put the price of their gas, what they want to charge you. 877-960-9960. Text us at 772-497-6530. We'd love to hear from you on some of the topics that we have already covered. Back to Stu.
Sure. I got a text from Negan.
Hi, Negan.
Negan switched over to the tech side. He said it seems Ford was catching up on production with chip supplies, the microchips, but now they're delaying delivery because of the shortage of blue oval Ford badges.
Oh,
wow.
my favorite topic.
Yes, so he sent the article to. I hadn't read that. I clicked over, and there's something like 45,000 vehicles that are sitting on lots that can't ship because the badge is not there.
Is that amazing, Negan?
I think I could do without the Ford Oval on my Ford. I'd say I'll just take it.
Yeah, well, because
we'll
the manufacturers are shipping cars without heated seats and all sorts of stuff.
Let me talk about something serious here for a minute. I tried to jump in a minute ago, but I got cut off. Costco, and I think this might be their Achilles heel, as you know, sublets certain areas that are outside their normal skill. They're a retailer of food and canned goods and home goods or whatever you want to call it, and they're the best. Now, if you want to buy hearing aids or eyeglasses, they sub that out. If you want to buy a car, they sub it out, and it's the Costco auto buying program. And we on this show have had problems with Costco with the Alliance Group, which is the subgroup company for the Costco auto buying program. They use Costco's name, which is troubling, because if Costco is going to lend their name to a company selling products under their name, they should police it just as carefully as they do their own warehouses. So I'm guessing that maybe the gasoline comes under a different, ownership.
I don't know.
Or at least I think.
I'm looking stuff up on this, and they're saying that they typically lose money on gas. They said it's the same thing as the chicken and the hot dogs. They're hoping you go there, fill up, and go.
I thought it was. Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're saying in this article. I don't know how authoritative it is, but they're losing money on the gas.
If they sell it at their cost, they're still losing money because they got the overhead to cover.
They said they're on average across the country 20 cents per gallon cheaper than anywhere else. 20% cheaper than anywhere else.
Yeah. So anyway, like everything else, there's no absolute right, absolute wrong. Costco's our favorite retailer, but they have their flaws, and when we find them, we talk about them.
Yeah, no more chickens at Costco for us.
No.
Okay.
I have found that the savings that I get by buying my gas at Costco more than pays for my membership each year.
Oh, God, yeah.
Exactly.
Just the gas savings.
As long as we're on a Costco kick.
Love it.
Here's an interesting financial information. Costco's full profit, annual profit, which is huge. I mean, Wall Street's getting hammered now. One of the few stocks that's held up is Costco. But Costco's full profit in the billions of dollars is from their membership dues. So what that means is, for $65 a month,
A year.
65 bucks a year, and I get an executive membership for 95 or something like that. Anyway, their membership dues are responsible for all their profit. They're selling their goods basically at cost.
Yeah.
That's why they call themselves Costco.
I have some information directly from Costco.
Oh, great.
It might explain the difference in the gas prices.
Great.
Because they have a special in their customer service section on their website that says, why do prices vary between Costco warehouse locations?
Ooh.
Many factors play into why there can be price differences on the same items at different Costco warehouse locations. Our location managers and buying teams keep a close watch on inventory and pricing. At times, our suppliers may adjust item prices on additional shipments. Sometimes local competition might affect the price of each item. So there could be like the gas thing. They might have like really low gas at one place, and they might have to lower their gas to match it. And down in another part of town, they didn't have to do that.
If everybody else is doing it, why can't Costco do it?
So the 15% is probably an average.
An average, yeah. They're changing based on what their what the customers need.
You know, the story, a Costco story that is, I know this is not Earl and Costco, in case you just
Costco
tuned in,
on
but,
cars.
But we love it, all of us in the studio do. A few years ago, Costco ordered some incredibly fine hot
Whiskey.
sales shirts.
Oh.
They were Italian design shirts, and they were like $15 a piece. They were just absolutely a steal. So they sold out, and they ordered some more, and they sold out, and they never would raise the price of the shirts, even though they knew like they had a shortage. So unlike car dealers, when Costco would order from Italy, they'd get like 2,000 shirts in a particular warehouse. They'd sell them all for the old price when they could have doubled the price, which is what the dealers do with cars today. So they have a morality and a conscience, which is refreshing.
Yeah, reminds me of something. We have a phone call.
Okay, thanks, Stu. We're going to go to Frank, who's calling us from Jupiter. Good morning. Good morning, Frank, from Jupiter Farms.
Hey, good morning, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in my car. I made a mistake of going to Sam's down the street for you guys to get some cat food, and the line stretches from Military Trail on 45th Street.
The line for cat food?
I said, I thought they opened at rate for Plus memberships. I guess everyone in the world has a Plus membership, so I'm back on the highway going home. Anyway, my question, since we're talking about gas and fuel, I have two cars that require premium high-test gas, and I have a truck that can still get by on regular. My neighbor, who had worked at GM for like 30 years, said putting premium gas in a car is like just wasting money because the computer will, balance for it. And I've been putting premium. I figured that's what they call for. I better do it. What is the real story on that? Premium regular.
We know a lot about this.
Yes.
By running the 87 octane fuel, basically your computer is going to retard the ignition timing to avoid any ignition knock, the spark knock that would occur by running a lower octane fuel. The only drawback that you're going to see is you might lose a little bit of fuel economy and you might lose a little bit of performance. With Florida traffic, you're never going to notice that change in performance because you're never going to have the opportunity to make use of that acceleration and high speed. With Florida economy, well, you might notice a little hurt with the fuel price, your fuel economy, but it's really not going to be that big a difference. And if your car runs good on the 87 octane, I would stick with it and go with it, especially with the huge difference in price between premium and
You know,
87.
This is one of the most common questions we get, Frank, and it's almost a secret that you can burn regular 87 octane in almost any car, and it can slightly, as Rick said, it can affect the performance a little bit, but not much, and the savings is usually huge. The manufacturers, when they design it, they have to have those cars tested by the EPA. So when they decide the fuel they want to recommend in their car, they want a fuel that will get by the EPA recommendations. It's very important. They give them 100 cars to test, and if they say there's too much emissions, then they're going to have to spend a ton of money modifying the emissions on those cars, and they don't want that to happen. So one way to minimize the pollution and maximize your score on the EPA test is to burn the high test fuel. So there'll be two things, Rick knows. They are recommendation and required. I say ignore either one of them, but Rick says ignore the recommendation, but go with the required. And even if you go with if you use 87 and everything, it's not going to blow your engine up. If it affects the performance and you don't like it, then you can always go up an octane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you. I just figure it's better to ask for permission than look for forgiveness later down the road.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Frank.
But,
Have a
have
great
a nice weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. We have Lori calling from Hope Sound. Let me bring everyone up to speed. I believe that, good morning, Lori.
Good morning to everyone.
Okay. Hey, this is about the Attorney General's office, correct? And your complaint against Edmore's Cadillac?
Yes, that's right.
Very good. I am so glad that you called. I was a little bit worried whenever you sent me that text message last night at, I think it was like 9:57 or something. So I was hoping that you would make the show because there are so many of our listeners, our texters, YouTube, everybody in the, and I'm not using this word loosely, the world is listening to you because your voice has been heard. And I know there's, miles to go, but you're doing a fantastic job.
Well, I just wanted some advice from you. It looks like they probably didn't pay much attention to the 30 to 45 day whatever they gave the dealership to respond. So when I queried it, they then sent me that email I forwarded to you saying, now I have a number to call, and I actually have a name, which is important.
Right.
I will call them on Monday. But my issue is, I wonder if anyone out there knows what happens. Does the Attorney General just send a letter, or in this case, I think they just forwarded an email to Ed Morse? You would think that they'd want to follow up with a phone call.
Well, let me jump in there. We haven't told our listening audience yet what your problem was, and your problem, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you were promised an accessory on your car by the Ed Morse Cadillac, and they put it in writing, and they said they would install this after you purchased the car, and then when you try to get it honored, they refuse. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so
not returning calls. The salesman left the firm.
Yeah.
A service employee who had been there for a few years said, "Well, maybe let me talk to corporate, quote unquote, see if they'll give you some money towards servicing."
Exactly.
He never came back to me. He never came back to me when I did call him. He said, "Oh, the corporate said no," and I tried on 3 occasions to see the general manager, who refused to see me.
Yeah.
And Lori, what we're talking about here is a USB plug and a CD player, correct?
No, originally it was built in. It's a long story. The original one I had was a Cadillac. I had purchased one from Cadillac. Cadillac put it in as 2016 model. When I then traded that in for a 2018 model, I had to go to a shop, and they put in a CD DVD player. Wasn't ideal, but at least I could play CDs on it. This
Lori got,
this the Cadillac 2020 version. They kept saying, well, Cadillac's coming out with the software. They haven't come out with the software. So I went back and forth
Lord,
about
let me
yeah.
let me say something. What you have here is a clear-cut case of violation. It's black and white, and the reason we love your contacting us is because the route you've taken with the Attorney General, who has ignored you, and any other consumer agencies have not helped you. So what I'm saying is you have a written document signed by that dealer. Now that's a contract, and you could certainly go to a lawyer, and we would see what would happen if you could get a lawyer to take the case. They're violating the law here by refusing you. So it's a great story about what the average consumer has available to them when they have a problem with a dealer. The Attorney General, Ashley Moody, she probably doesn't even know this happened. I've read your correspondence, and somebody named Beverly is communicating with you, and she probably talks to hundreds of people a day that are having problems with car dealers, and she never passes them along because Ashley Moody says, don't bother me with this. Beverly Bailey is the Office of Citizen Services, I see on your email. So
Right.
you have not to worry, because I guarantee you that you're going to get this resolved. You should be able to find a lawyer that would take it on contingency, because the dealer is dead wrong in what he did. And that's a big target too. The Morse Auto Group is huge. So if you sued them, you'd be suing probably 25 dealerships. And Teddy Morse is the guy that also won't return your phone call. Laura called the show a long time ago. I gave her Teddy Morse, that's the grandson of Ed Morse. I gave Laura Teddy Morse's cell phone number. She's called Teddy 3 or 4 times, and he just won't return the calls. The general manager of the dealership won't return her calls, and Ashley Moody won't return her calls. They are stalling her. So here is a black and white case of fraud, and you're being ignored as a consumer. And what a great story to put on the airwaves, and we really appreciate your call.
Okay, thanks, Earl. Thanks for all your help.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. We appreciate you calling in this morning. And if that's not enough, whenever the audience gets a hold of this video that Jonathan's going to air later, can you imagine there's been an ongoing investigation by Channel 10, an ongoing investigation. News, it's out there. Car dealerships, they're hitting customers. It's just an amazing story. So stay tuned for that. But my point, at the end of the interview, Jeff said, and he is the newscaster who is the investigator for this story, Ashley Moody wasn't available. She wasn't available for comment. She wasn't available, period. Ashley Moody, we're asking you to get involved. We're asking you to wrap your head around the ongoing taking advantage of the consumer.
I'm holding up the contract that is signed by Ed Morse Cadillac. And it's real simple. It's a promise. It says here, a CD swap promised. It's called a WEO. It's a common contract that all car dealers do. Somebody buys a car, and they say, well, I always wanted a CD player, I always wanted a nav system, I always wanted a backup camera, and the dealer's anxious to get the car delivered, so they fill out this form and sign it, and it promises the customer that they're going to perform this after the delivery. So it's a legal contract. And the salesperson that signed the contract is no longer working there, but that doesn't make any difference. And the manager that approved the contract, approved the WEO, is still there, but he just won't return phone calls. So here's a case of just absolutely obvious violation of the law, consumers' rights, and our Attorney General ignoring it. Laura, I should have told you while you were on the line, but I'll email you, or Nancy will. You should file a complaint with the Department of Motor Vehicles, too, because they're far less likely to stall. They will go out and take action. Florida Department of Motor Vehicles.
And also, Lori, I have to commend you for your patience. It's just unbelievable. I mean, you only got in touch with us, I think, in June, and this all happened prior to that. So your patience and your knowledge and everything you're doing, stay at it. We are going to get Attorney General Ashley Moody's attention. I promise you, we will. We're going to go to Gary, who has been holding, and Gary is calling us from Naples. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. How are you? Good morning. How are you?
We're well, thank you.
I have a quick question. Maybe someone can help me. I had my lower control arm on the right side replaced on my Hyundai, and I had to put one new tire on because it blew out. Everything is fine, but it is a little bit of a choppy ride because I had to drive the car with a bad control arm for about 400 miles. Would you guys recommend to replace all 4 tires now?
I'd have them inspected. Just visual inspection on a tire would show any sort of odd wear patterns. You can even do this yourself. Just run your hand over the surface of the tire and see if you feel anything that feels wavy or choppy, or if it feels like if you go one direction, everything is smooth, and then you run your hand back the other direction. If it feels like you're feeling sharp edges on the tread, that's called feathering. If you feel anything odd like that, I would have it looked at further, but I would definitely have someone look at your tires just to see if there's any odd wear patterns going on, and have them check the bearings and everything for tightness in the front end.
Okay, and when you replace the lower control arm, your car should run straight again, correct?
Well, they should have done an alignment as well, just to make sure that the toe is correct. But yes, replacing that control arm should have made the car run pretty straight down the road.
Yep, okay. And another quick question. We use this as a commuter car. The turbo went and I had it replaced. But I have a warranty with Hyundai on the engine because this is one of our commuter cars. They told me the turbo wasn't covered. Is it only internal engine parts, or turbo's not covered? Or you wouldn't know that?
Most factory warranties, they go with their lettering as internally lubricated engine components.
Google it.
Meaning anything that is lubricated by the engine but internal in the engine. Turbochargers are sometimes specifically excluded. Sometimes they're allowed in it because they are lubricated by the engine oil. But it would depend upon the terms of their warranty. You'd have to read the fine terms in their warranty.
And Stu is Googling it now. You, if he can't find it, you might try it too. Just say, ask Google, is a turbo in my year make Hyundai covered under the warranty?
What year was it?
Yep.
What year was it?
15.
2016?
15.
15.
15.
Hang on. Google is thinking.
This is boring for other listeners. Like
Yeah.
you guys talking, I like it.
Yeah, stay tuned, and Stu will have the answer for you in a couple of minutes. So thanks very much for your call, and thanks very much for a very interesting question.
Yeah, Gary, we'll get that information to you ASAP.
Thank you very, very much, and you guys do a great job. And be safe.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. 877-960-9960.
I got it.
We have George holding.
Hold on,
and
George.
We'll let Stu go ahead and get Gary his information.
The warranty coverage for turbos for all the Hyundais fall under the powertrain limited warranty of 10 years or 100,000 miles.
There you go. It's covered. All right.
How do you like that?
Okay.
I feel Gary jumping up and he's jumping up and
He's
down.
happy. He's clapping, I hope.
Okay, we're going to go to George from West Palm Beach. Good morning, George.
Good morning, gentlemen, and beautiful young lady. How are you this morning?
I'll take that. I'm great. Good morning.
All right. Well, I have basically kind of like a statement in regards to ordering a car. I ordered a Toyota Camry, It actually took about 6 to 8 weeks to get it. I know that most people can't wait 6 to 8 weeks to get a car, so but I was able to do that. Now the thing is, when I ordered the car, it came with something. I think it was Toyota Care or Toyota Guard. That
Toyota. Well, all of them have all Toyotas come with Toyota Care, which is a 2-year maintenance roadside assistance, and then a lot of dealers stock all of their Toyotas in southeastern United States, so down here with Toyota Care, which is an additional bunch of stuff, but it's highly priced, $700 for about $200 worth of stuff.
Correct. Now, when I ordered my vehicle, I ordered it without that, and it reduced the price by that $700 because, as I think I was informed, you guys, it's called from the port. I don't know what the port is, if it's a shipping port or what.
Jacksonville.
That's added on at
It's
the port.
Yeah, it's the big distribution center that they do a lot of vehicle preparation and accessorizing. That's because Southeast Toyota Distributors sells a lot of accessories.
Right. So if anybody's going to order a car and you go to a dealership and you have the time to wait for the car, I just want them to know you can always order it and save yourself $700 plus tax if you don't really want it. And like you said, it's only like maybe $200 wheel locks and little things.
If the dealer will cooperate with you on that, some dealers put that it's a hard part of their business model, and especially now with cars being priced well over MSRP. Actually, It doesn't even matter if there's Toy Guard on it because they're going $5,000 over MSRP.
Yeah, George, the dealers are almost coerced, or some of them are unaware, because they incentivize everybody, the salespeople, the managers, the dealer, and not only does it have a low cost, the Toyo Guard have a low cost, but they have kickbacks on top of that. And some of the kickbacks are based on the percentage of cars you order. So if you're at 50%, you get one kickback. If 75% of your cars have Toyo Guard, you get a higher kickback. I'm not sure how, if it goes up to 100 or not, but if you're the customer that comes in and says, I don't want Toyo Guard on my car, and they're struggling that month to hit their volume that they have to get their big cash kickback that goes to the general manager, they might really give you a hard time about canceling it.
Okay. All right. Well, that was good to know. I guess I got really lucky. And I have met you. I've met you, Earl. I've met both of your sons. I know quite a few guys in your service department that have been there long term. I've met you, Rick, and I have the highest regards for your dealership. I didn't buy the car from you, but I do have the highest regards for your dealership.
Well,
you guys run a class act.
Thank you, George. Can we send George $50?
I think we should. Hey, George, we certainly have an amazing team, and every once in a while, everybody needs a little recognition, and I thank you for that. They are amazing.
Your service manager is great. Josh Scott goes over and above for everybody.
Yeah, above and beyond.
Your Tires for Life is great. And I can't say more about
Send him 100.
So.
Make it 100.
And you know what, George? Some of the people that you've mentioned, they've been with us a very, very long time. And they're very dedicated.
It's important just to get out there. But what George brings up a good point. Anybody out there is considering a Toyota, just know that Toyo Guard, not Toyota Care, Toyo Guard is optional, and raise the issue. You might save $700. So just say you don't want it because you don't need it.
Well, you know what they'll do if they're smart, they will. Well, they won't do it. They're smart, but they're also.
Well, they can't take it off the car.
No, but what they could do is agree to sell at cost. We did this. A couple of years ago, one of my sons talked to me into buying cars with Toyo Guard. So we tried it based on the fact that we would pass along the customer at our true cost, and that didn't work. Because even our true cost, it wasn't worth it. So the true cost on Toyo Guard is about $250 for $700, and the dealer would be highly unlikely to admit what it was because he wouldn't want you to know about the holdbacks and kickbacks that everybody doesn't know about. The salesman probably doesn't
A
know
lot of
about it.
salespeople think it is like standard equipment.
Yeah,
too, so-
exactly, yeah. So,
But excuse me. The main point is I ordered my car
Right.
prior to it getting to the port.
You told
So
him
it was
about
never it was never on
Right.
the addendum side of the car, if that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Right.
On the so it was never put on at the port, and I did have to wait almost 2 months for the car. So I guess they were building it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't get it off if it's already on the car.
Right.
Exactly.
So you let them, and they agreed to not. They just didn't put it on, so they agreed to it.
I specifically
Right.
ordered the car without it.
Got it.
I didn't want a I got an XSE. I didn't want a sunroof. I heard XSEs come with sunroof. I ordered it without a sunroof, and I did not get a sunroof. So
Right. Well, good.
I
You
don't
did
know
a
if
good
they
job,
built
man.
the car just for me. All right, guys. Well,
Thanks,
you have
George.
a great day, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, George. Stay with us. Have a great weekend.
right.
877-960-9960. Text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget, your anonymousfeedback.com. And I can't repeat this website enough, www.floridalawprotectingcarbuyers.com. Now
If
back
I-
to Stu.
yeah, if I ask Jonathan to queue up that video, how long will that take you to do that, Jonathan?
I got it ready now.
Okay, this is a video that Nancy's talked about earlier, WPLG, Channel 10 in Miami, and it's amazingly candid, good coverage of some of the shenanigans and deceptions and lying, cheating, and stealing that are going on in South Florida, the Miami-Fort Lauderdale market, and there's class action suits going on, there's lawsuits, there's settlements. It's one of the biggest retail automotive scandals ever to hit down here. This is big news. Channel 10, WPLG, I salute them for their courage. And I will play a video clip and you can see for yourself, and if you're listening, you can hear.
And let me add to this that at the end of this video, listen carefully. Ashley Moody, the Attorney General, was unavailable to make a comment. Jonathan?
An update tonight on a Local 10 News investigation into car dealerships hitting customers with unexpected fees when they go to buy out their current lease. Since our stories, several lawsuits have been filed. Some South Florida dealerships have settled, and a class action lawsuit is now pending.
And Local 10 News investigator Jeff Weinzierr is back on the case.
I wanted to buy my lease out. I figured it would be an easy thing to do.
Dr. Barry Resnick was wrong, despite the fact his purchase price at the end of the lease was all spelled out in a contract. When he originally leased a 2019 Buick Encore 3 years ago, Lehman Buick wanted to charge him a $250 inspection fee and a $999 dealer fee.
I said, why are you giving me all these fees? Well, this is the way we have to do it. The finance company wants us to do that.
He referenced our prior stories where an attorney said under the Consumer Leasing Act of 1976, you can't charge fees not disclosed in the original lease.
And that's when they stopped talking to me.
Every Buick dealership you called had a fee.
Yes, up until Vera.
Out their leases, but some are finding themselves knocked out of the driver's seat.
Since our first stories hit the air back in March, consumers have taken legal action. According to federal court records, Midway Ford charged one of its customers over $2,200 in fees to buy out a lease. He sued. They settled. Coral Springs Kia charged one of its customers over $1,000 in undisclosed fees in a lease buyout. He too sued. They settled. World Omni Southeast Toyota Finance also settling a lawsuit after Southdade Toyota not only charged their customer $2,200 more than the agreed buyout value in a contract, but then hit him with another $1,494 in undisclosed fees. That's $3,706 more to buy out his Toyota 4Runner. Palmetto 57 Nissan settling a case after overcharging a customer $800 more than the agreed price for a Nissan Rogue and then tacking on $1,200 in fees. That's $2,000 extra. As part of the settlement, those consumers can't talk to us. Right now, federal lawsuits are pending against Deerfield Automotive, operating as King Hyundai, Doral Lincoln, Sheehan Buick GMC. Sources tell Local 10 News several cases against Gunther Automotive have been settled through arbitration. Those terms are also confidential. Additionally, this class action lawsuit has also been filed against Hyundai Capital, doing business as Genesis Finance, over these fees. But a federal judge has yet to certify this suit as class action. As we reported back in March, due to a lack of inventory on the lots and high prices, more consumers than ever are buying out their current leases. In Florida, if you sell 3 or more vehicles a year, you need a dealer's license. So the banks and the financial institutions we make payments to monthly send us to the dealer to facilitate the buyouts at the end of the lease. But the dealers make no money facilitating the transactions, so many create these fees. It's a flawed system, and the uneducated consumer winds up getting screwed.
I was really taken aback that
as far as Dr. Resnick's experience at Lehman Buick,
will you remember this experience with that dealer the next time you buy a car?
Of course.
no one at any of the dealerships just mentioned, nor their attorneys, would actually talk to us on camera. And what about our state attorney general? A spokesperson for Ashley Moody's office says she wasn't available to be interviewed on this issue. Frankly, we couldn't find any state agency currently protecting consumers on this issue at all. Jeff Weinseer, Local 10 News.
That's great.
That's dynamite, folks. If you can Google it and replay that, or if you'd like a copy of it, let us know. But you attorneys out there, I mean, I'm not going to appeal to your morality or ethics. I'll appeal to your pocketbooks. You want to make some serious money, get in on this. We're not talking just one dealer or two dealers. There's a couple dozen dealers already settling. And you're also talking manufacturing lending arms. Southeast Toyota Finance settled. Well, you settle a lawsuit because you think you're going to lose. They settled. Now Hyundai captive auto finance company called Genesis Finance is being sued. So you lawyers out there in the audience, and I know a few of you are listening, think about this. You can go after a lending arm of General Motors or Honda or Mazda or whatever you want to do. The conspiracy is this: the manufacturer requires the dealer to take the leased car back, but there's nothing in the franchise agreement that he has, his contract with that manufacturer, that says he should do that. So common sense, by the way, says I do it as a dealer because I like to see the lease cars when they come back. I like to treat customers nicely. And you take a lease car back in, you have an opportunity to buy it at a favorable price. You can sell it and make a profit. But they still should tell the dealers, this is what your compensation is. When a dealer takes a new car and prepares it for delivery, we get reimbursed for it. When you take a lease car and inspect it and check it out and return it to the leasing company, the dealer should be reimbursed. So the captive lending companies of the manufacturers are at fault, but the dealers are really at the big fault because they're the ones charging thousands of dollars for something that should be a couple $100 for an inspection, and it should be paid for by either the leasing company or the dealer anyway. So this is big, and as Nancy said earlier, if there's any doubt in your mind that Ashley Moody is in the tank for the Florida automobile dealers and the auto manufacturers that sell here, if there's any doubt that she's afraid to take action against car dealers in Florida because she won't get reelected, I think that should clear it up. I mean, how embarrassing to be, this isn't just one little complaint. This is multiple dozens of Floridians being victimized by dealers, not just South Florida, but all over the state. And with virtually every dealer, if you return a lease car, they're going to charge you. They're going to charge you many fees, and it's illegal. It's a violation of the Consumer Leasing Act of 1976. And Ashley Moody is an attorney. She should know that. And for her to ignore these crimes that are going on is just shameful. So.
Absolutely. And, I have to say that not only does Ashley Moody need to get involved in this, do you want to get, let's make it political. Do you want to get reelected? You want a big name for yourself? This is huge, Ashley Moody. And guess what? Any state agency, there's nobody looking, there's nobody talking, there's nobody available for comment. Let our voices be heard. Remember the website I gave you earlier, and also remember that you can go to Earl Stewart Toyota's Facebook page, and you can take a look at that video again.
And one more comment I have. Jeff Weinseer is the investigative reporter for Channel 10, WPLG. Jeff Weinseer, Weinsier, an amazing guy. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to go in and confront these dealers and confront the lending companies and write a story like that. When he interviewed me for this story 2 months ago, the beginning of the story, I told him, I said, good luck getting this by your editor. Why? Because WPLG take a huge amount of money from car dealers in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And I said, you tell your editor before you waste your time and waste my time, and you spend 3 days writing this story, tell your editor what it's about and will he run it? And the reason I told him that is because about 10 years ago, a reporter, Jeff Weinseer's predecessor at WPLG in Miami, contacted me, spent the entire day with me. Nancy and I were speaking at the Rotary Club in Palm Beach. She attended the Rotary Club meeting. She came into the dealership, spent the day at the dealership, wrote this amazing story about dealer deception, and his editor killed it because they were afraid the dealers would boycott them on advertising. So Jeff Weinseer, WPLG, Channel 10, you are journalists in the truest sense of the word. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Rick?
we can't say enough about you. Before Rick says anything, I'm going to remind you, Jonathan just reminded me, you can go to Earl Stewart on Cars Facebook page, and you can also go to Earl Stewart on Cars YouTube channel, and you can view this video. So take a second look at it, take a third look at it, and just listen. It is mind-boggling. Ashley Moody is not available for comment. Rick?
This question may have been answered by all that you've said, but it came in right before we started the video. John Bell asks, are auto dealers allowed by law to donate to candidates in Auditor General elections? Could you explain the lack of interest in going after car dealers who ignore the law?
I wasn't aware there was a law. I do know this, that there are a lot of car dealers out there that are multimillionaires. Car dealers in Florida, this is the promised land for car dealers. It's a good place to do business, and car dealers make a lot of money. So individually, they're very wealthy, and they make contributions. In addition to that, they have their political action committees, and you're required, the dealers are basically required, and I put that in quotes, you give them your credit card number and they hit it every year, and they're like trial attorneys. They have a huge fund with political action committees. Then they have associations. They start with, there's a Miami Dealers Association, a Tampa Dealers Association, a Jacksonville Dealers Association, and there's the big one, the Florida Automobile Dealers Association, and there's a huge one, the National. And all their sole purpose of the associations is to raise money to get candidates elected to Attorney General and State Senator and State Congressman and any other regulatory area. So Ashley Moody, if she decided that she wanted to go after the car dealers, she would not get reelected, because they'd cut her off and they would choose another stooge and say, you want to get elected? You want to play ball? Then we'll get you elected Attorney General. That's the way it goes.
And folks, here we have, again, I'm reiterating, I can't say this enough, she is the chief state legal officer. You know, I hear this, the buck stops with you, and you have to make a stand. You have to let your voice be heard. Ashley Moody, join the people. They elected you. Please recognize the corruption that is going on. Recognize that the consumer is being taken advantage of. This is the 21st century. It's time to move on. It's time to do things the right way. Rick?
Donovan is actually just asking, how much does it really cost the dealership to file for registration electronically on a car?
$10.
That's what we pay. We use a outside sublet service. It's cheaper for us to send it to the sublet service than to hire somebody in the accounting department to do that work. So they take a $10 item, they mark it up to $9.99 or $1,000 or $500 or whatever they want to call it.
He says many dealers are now charging a $500 electronic filing fee.
Exactly, yeah.
There you go.
So there's Florida law again. Florida law allows dealers to add fees to the advertised price of a car, and they don't put a limit. In California, the maximum fee, I think, is $100 or $125. Used to be $75. Other states have limits, and they have to call it a dealer fee or a dock fee. They have a name. I mean, if you're going to try to regulate something, it's got to have a name. In Florida, there's no limit on what car dealers can charge for fees legally, and there's no limit on what they can name it. They could name it Rick Kearney or Earl Stewart. They could name it Salvation Army. I mean, they come up with clever names. Typically, the way they name these phony fees is they try to elude this part of the registration process. Electronic filing fee, ooh, tag agency fee. Those are two good ones. And administrative fee, dealer preparation fee. They try to make it sound legitimate, and none of it's legitimate. And there's no law saying they have to tell you what it really is.
Okay, folks, I hope you hear us loud and clear. Well, we've been pretty clear. 877-960-9960. We are going to go back to the phones where Mike has been waiting patiently from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, guys. I love the show, and I just wanted to say I'm so glad you guys are talking about this. I wanted to call in a year ago because this happened to me even worse than what I'm hearing right now, and it was with I-95 Nissan. They tried to I had a Toyota, paid them to the penny what the buyout was. Same thing with my mother's Subaru. My wife's Nissan Rogue, we went to take it in. They added $8,000 in fees to the trade-in. There was a $2,000 fee, they said, from Nissan. They said, Nissan charges us $2,000 to do this. There was a $1,200 inspection fee, $800 cleaning fee. I'm like, you're not cleaning the car. It's in my driveway. I want to give you the money. So I ended up starting to walk out, and the salesperson chased me down and said, what if I knock off this fee, and this fee? And that's when I got really mad. Like, well, now you're just adding a bunch of arbitrary BS to this to try to get money out of me. And I walked out. And I will say that I did call Nissan Finance directly, and they said that this is not our practice. They wanted to know the name of the dealership, the name of the salesperson, and all that. And they rectified it and pointed us to a dealer that wouldn't do this. But it's crazy how people are trying to take advantage these days.
That's crazy.
Thank you, Mike. That's a horrible experience. It's probably painful to you just to relate it to us. You're kind of reliving it.
No, it was. It was a year ago, and it's still bothering me.
Yeah,
I had to call in. And thank you guys for bringing this to light.
I can imagine, Mike, and we really appreciate your phone call. It doesn't matter if it's a year old, 2 years old. It's been going on much too long, and there's plenty of money out there to be made by the auto industry. It's quite a wealthy, as you well know, and they're not in the soup line. They don't need to take advantage of consumers, and fees are fine, but these laundry list of fees that you have to have a dictionary to be able to define all of the fees that they charge, and they're all illegal. So, Mike, I thank you for your phone call.
Well, thank you guys for doing what you do.
You're welcome. Have a great weekend. 877-960-9960. or you can text Stu at 772-497-6530. Don't forget YouTube. Rick is waiting patiently. Stu?
All right. I got a text from Bob. We're back in Costco. Bob says,
Oh,
good
boy.
morning. My question is if buying a set of tires from Costco, they don't do wheel alignments, is one needed, and what is the average cost to have one performed? We charge $120 for a four-wheel alignment. $120.
Now, does he say Costco does not do alignments?
Yes.
When they install the wheels, they don't.
I don't know. He says, here, I'll read it again. My question is, if buying a set of tires from Costco, they don't do wheel alignments. So I don't know if that's an accurate statement, but it might be. I'll check it out.
Yeah, does it make? I mean, if you install wheels, are you supposed to check the alignment when you install new wheels?
It's a very good idea to have your alignment checked when you're putting new tires on to protect them.
That's a great Costco
But if they
question.
don't have the machine to do it,
Yeah, I would find I find that hard to believe. Well, let's check on that. We got a
looking
couple
right now.
questions for Costco. So I do know this, that alignments should be alignment check should be free, and with the machine, it's a piece of cake to measure it. It's something else to have to bring it back into conformity. But somebody should check your car free for alignment, and if Costco didn't do it, I would bring it over to somebody that would do it and check it free. And then if it needs an alignment, then you have to pay, depending on how much needs to be aligned.
I don't know yet. Let's continue, but I'll find it.
Okay. Got another text?
Okay, Rick?
Kirk in West by God, Virginia,
All right.
is asking Earl, do you have an update on the publication of your second book?
Nancy has been interviewed for the book, and we're adding a little input. We're right at the edge of going to press,
Yeah.
so I would confidently say before the end of the year they'll be on the shelves, or on Kindle, or on iBook.
Yeah, redemptions of a
And
recovering car dealer.
I'm also debating whether or not I should do an audio version, and
No.
so well, we're close.
No, I'm saying no. Costco does not. Costco does not do wheel alignments.
Oh, Costco does not. Oh, well, boy, what a great question.
Wait, no, I'm getting conflicting information on the internets. Right. I spoke too soon. I'm getting somebody saying that Costco does do wheel alignments. They range between $80 and $250. I don't see it on Costco's website, though. So I'm about 60% confident that they do. But I'll keep looking.
I am too. About 60 is a good number. We're really we're telling the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Costco's got some great things going for them, and they have some foibles too.
All right. Well, more text. By the way, Emery chimed in when we were talking about the Vin Cloning at the Ford dealer, and then they couldn't figure out they had a 2-year-old car. It was a Dodge dealer that figured it out in 2 minutes. So there you go. If you're paying attention, you can figure these things out.
It's amazing how incompetent certain people in certain dealerships can be. I mean, here's an inside story, is that at some dealerships, when you bring your car in for an appraisal, the appraiser doesn't even get in the car, doesn't open the hood, he might just stay in his air-conditioned
he's
office.
sitting
He'll look
in
it out
the
there,
office.
and he'll get the book out and he'll put a number on. So there's trickery, chicanery, and all that going on, but there's also stupidity and laziness that goes on. So when you're dealing with a dealer, you got a lot of things to protect yourselves against.
A lot of arrogance.
Yeah, you're
Got to
dealing with
mention that.
Also, somebody, Craig, texted us and said he'd been seeing the news reports about all the extra fees being added when people purchase their leased vehicles, and they wanted to know our opinion on that. I think we covered that, Craig. We got to it before we got to your question, so
I went on an incredible rant.
it was a great rant, and we heard the news report, which I hadn't heard yet, and that was just astonishing. So I think we covered that for him.
So you didn't know that Southeast Toyota Finance is in trouble. They quietly settled with a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, I saw. That was in the report, and also in one of our fellow dealers down there down in Miami.
Dade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Doral, or was it South Dade?
I think it was South Dade. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Interesting.
Okay. We have some anonymous feedback if we can get to it.
Oh, great.
All right. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Here we go. I just walked Lexus of Winter Park's lot and they are still putting adjusted market value or bump stickers, that's a good name for them, bump stickers, on their new Lexuses. I also believe dealers are making straw purchases on new cars, paying a few monthly payments, and then selling them as CPO cars at inflated prices. You're partially right. Yeah, they are buying cars from their own inventory. They're not making payments on them, but they are purchasing them and selling them as certified pre-owned, and that is actually a violation. If we're talking about Lexus, I don't know if they have the same restrictions. That's a violation of the Toyota ad covenant, and that's actually it gets violated all the time.
Now, the dealers take advantage of the consumers. They also take advantage of the manufacturers.
Yep.
And the allocation system, to be fair, they're supposed to send cars to dealers as quickly as he sells them, or as close to that as they can. Right now, during this shortage, it's extremely important to be able to get some cars because they're so short supply. So when the dealers cheat the manufacturer, they're also cheating their fellow dealers. They pretend to sell a car and tell the manufacturer they sold the car when they didn't really, and that earns them another car. So.
Right. Here's another one from anonymous feedback. Ford Motor leaders are cracking down on dealers. Tesla is having major quality issues. Ford pickup trucks that cannot be shipped are being stored at a major racetrack due to lack of chips in Kentucky. Seems like each day there are more stories regarding ethics in the car business. Perhaps karma is coming for a visit, and they like to say karma is I don't know if I can say it on the radio, as a B in it. It is, but the thing is, the woes everybody's hearing about the car business is resulting in record profits. So the car dealers, the Ford dealers that can't get the blue ovals because they don't want the blue ovals because it's jacking up the prices for them. So maybe on the other side of this, karma is going to come, and I think that's going to be when people remember the behavior that occurred between 2021 and 2024, however long this is going to last. Yes, Rick.
When the CHR first came out, they actually were shipping them without a little red reflector that went on the back bumper. And we had a special campaign that all these cars that came in, several thousand of them, had to come back in just for us to install this little reflector on the back bumper. It was silly, but it's like, hard to imagine they can't send them out without the Ford emblem on it.
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe they confuse them with a GM car or something. I don't know.
Could be.
This is from a Bloomberg article published earlier this month. This comes in on anonymous feedback. A London firm is creating a box to attach behind the wheels of vehicles to capture particles. Okay, I think I read this one earlier. To capture particles coming off the
rubber,
tires. Yeah. This is about the rubber.
Well, no, the non-rubber. It's just the
right.
Products.
This might be because we got a bunch of them last week. People are just telling us how electric vehicles are going to destroy the environment. So in this case, I'll summarize it. The vehicles are heavier, electric vehicles, because the batteries are heavy. So there is more rubber particles coming off the tires into the atmosphere.
It's not actually rubber.
Or whatever it is.
I learned
very little rubber is used. They're petrochemicals.
Yeah, petrochemicals are what tires are mainly made of.
Absolutely.
I thought they were mainly rubber, but they're not.
And to Stu's comment, ladies and gentlemen, knowledge. We're talking about the environment. We're talking about electric vehicles. Whether anyone likes it or not, they're here, and it's now, and it's going to get bigger than ever. And if you haven't read anything from Consumer Report, from the Automotive News, they talk about California. They talk about the heat wave. They talk about the meltdown and what caused the power to just disappear. So take a look at all that. Consumer Report. It'll straighten out your head.
Got another quick text from Emery. Wanted to make a correction. It was I read that wrong. It was a Dodge dealer that messed up and sold the truck, the Ford, and it was the Ford dealer that got the mistake. So I apologize to the Ford Corporation.
No problem.
Boy.
And the dealer.
Okay, we're going to go to the Mystery Shopping Report. Certainly has been an exciting show, and I hope all of you were taking notes and that you'll, take our lead. Your voice must be heard. Don't let anyone silence you. Your opinion is very, very important, and hopefully it will get to Ashley Moody. Hopefully it will get to Governor DeSantis. There are so many people here that can help this shenanigans stop. We're going to go to the Mystery Shopping Report of Wallace Kia And we're hoping that you will vote on this mystery shop at 772-497-6530. Your vote is important.
Is it possible we've never mystery shopped Wallace Kia in Stewart? I can't believe it either. It's hard to believe given the number of times we've shopped Wallace dealerships over the years. Stu, check the archives. No Wallace Kia mystery shop. Unbelievable. I think it's because the Bev Smith Kia in Fort Pierce north of them makes so much noise. They do a whole lot of advertising and they kind of drown out the fact that Wallace Kia has a store in Stewart, Florida.
Right. They shine so brightly you can't even see Wallace Kia.
Yeah, Frank Hernandez, TV star.
Frank Gonzalez.
Yeah. Well, barring a filing error, this may be the first time we've ever mystery shopped Wallace Kia, so it's kind of extraordinary that Agent Lightning picked them as the target, because Stu said, pick one in Stewart. She was driving north, and she picked Wallace Kia. Until this week, we thought we'd hit the Wallace dealerships, and in recent years, we've documented a downslide in the mystery shop grades. The last shop we did, now these are in the Wallace dealerships, we had one that was perfect almost. I think we gave somebody an A when it was used car lots.
Yeah, the easy pay.
Or something like that. The last shop we did back in February of the year shined a light on one of the bigger premiums over MSRP, which was $16,300. Which dealership was that?
That was Wallace Volkswagen.
Volkswagen, yeah. Well, that is a big one. $16,300 over MSRP. Prior to the inventory crunch, we investigated some questionable direct mail offers from Wallace Volkswagen, just more evidence of what appears to be a broader and longer pattern of ethical decay. At Wallace Cadillac, we discovered addendum with Nitrofill and Auto Butler. At Wallace Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Why
Dodge Cram Jeep Jam.
I know. Why do they do
That's
that?
what I want to say.
They got to come. What they do? Stellantis. Isn't that what it is now?
Yeah, it's called Stellantis.
No,
Wallace
wonder.
Stellantis.
Yeah.
Is that Pig Latin?
The add-ons included the same pinstripes and a Wallace protection package. But if you go back 3 or 4 years, the shops are much better, mild and pleasant. We don't know why things change. We've only been able to speculate about things like changeovers in management or Bill Wallace being spread too thin. Bill Wallace is about my age. He's probably hanging it up. He's probably relaxed, and he loves to fish. And, you can't go with a name on a dealership. I mean, just because it's Schumacher or Wallace or Earl Stewart, for that matter, they have people with names on them, or dealerships with names on them, where the people are dead. So, just because a guy had a reputation, and I say this, Bill Wallace, I've known him for years. He's an honorable guy. He's a moral guy. And if his dealerships aren't doing right, it's because either he's not around or he's retired and he doesn't know what's going on. Let's see here. Okay. But if you go back 3 or 4 years, I did that too. The hope we had this week was that we would find the good Wallace dealership, one that made it through the last few crazy years. That would really be an accomplishment. Spared from the temptations that almost all other car dealers have succumbed to. Okay, here's a report on Agent Lightning speaking in the first person. I was greeted by an older salesman named Michael. As soon as I exited my car, he shook my hand, led me inside out of the heat. We sat at a table and Michael began a round of questioning. The usual stuff, name, rank, serial number. He wrote all of my answers down. I told him I was interested in a Kia Forte.
Forte.
Yeah.
Kia Forte.
What a terrible name.
We'll call it a Fort.
Yeah. Well, that's why they don't call it a Fort. So they probably did call it a Fort. They said we better call this a Forte.
Forte. It's
Michael seemed happy to let me know that he actually had one in stock and available. He offered to pull it up front for me and asked me to wait for him. Michael was back in a few minutes to say he did not have any new Fortes in stock. He thought they should have one available any day now. I asked him if he could look around the lot for something. Michael told me they have their way of doing things here, and the dealership frowned on customers wandering around the lot. I mean, that's
gotta love it.
It's funny. I mean, well, dealers do frown. I mean, I'm a dealer, and when I see a customer wandering around a lot by themselves, I get upset because we want someone to be able to answer the customers' questions, identify them as a prospective customer, and try to sell them a car. So if Bill Wallace was a block away with his binoculars and he saw Agent Lightning wandering a lot without a salesman, he would get upset. But I think she was going to go with him, so I don't know. Maybe he was tired and it was hot, and he's an old guy.
Maybe somebody got run over a few years ago and he got sued, and he didn't want anybody walking around anymore.
Maybe he was a control freak.
Yeah.
Then Michael told me he believed they had a new 2023 Kia K5, sporty sedan about the size of a Toyota Camry available. I agreed to consider it. Once again, he asked me to wait. I asked to go with him, but Michael did not seem to want company. He told me it was too hot outside, but I kept pressuring him. We went outside together and found 3 identical Kia K5s parked together. I told him I liked the car, asked to see more of it. Michael said he needed to pull it up front from me, and here we go again. They have their way of doing things around here. Okay. So we're gathered now, okay, that maybe he sees what's got to be done. He might not like it, but that's the way we do things around here. I walked back to the front of the dealership. Michael pulled up right away, right after I got there. He popped the hood, showed me the breakaway engine mounts and the excellent welding.
This is why I laugh when I read it, because that was supposed to be something used to get customers excited, and you say, if you has breakaway engine mount, so if you run into something, the engine will drop out and go under the vehicle and not intrude into the passenger cabin, keeping you and your family safe. How do you like that, Mr. Customer?
But he told me that breakaway engine mounts are what saved Tiger Woods' life. I like that.
Well, we don't know if that's actually...
I Googled it. It's true.
Is it really?
Yeah.
How do you like that?
Yeah. So, in fact, I didn't even, I guess maybe if I scratched my head, I knew they had breakaway engine mounts, but you should mention these things. You never know.
Right. Cause you know what? Because people don't know about these things, but to me, it just sounds like, and this has seat belts. You put this across your belt.
I used to say that.
Okay.
We went all over the features of the car, then we took it for a test drive. Along the way, Michael shared that he was retired. See, he's just coming back into the workforce, but quickly bored with it. He said he returned to selling cars. He was a bank robber. He retired.
You missed a little section there, Earl. You missed the MSRP was $28,985 section.
Oh yeah, go back one little paragraph.
Oh, thank you. The MSRP was $28,985. There was an addendum. It was the $39.95 addendum, and called limited market availability. And they had the auto butler, the nitrofill, first oil change. That's strange. The first oil change isn't free on Kias.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't, but
so
I don't
Wallace's list price was $32,984. Okay. We came back to the dealership, went inside, found the same table. I asked for a pricing breakdown. He printed a purchase agreement. They came in to handwrite the figures. Michael wrote the MSRP incorrectly, $29,895, and I corrected him. He asked if I was sure, and I tried to show him the picture I took. He wouldn't look.
Just
excused himself.
They have their way of doing things.
To check the car anyway. And I saw Michael walk back inside and head over to the counter where all the sales managers were. Then he headed back my way. He sat down and informed me he had asked his manager if he could go ahead and split the market adjustment with me, and the boss approved.
She didn't even ask. Maybe she wanted to pay the whole thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Michael continued to handwrite on the sheet. He corrected the MSRP. Evidently, Agent Lightning was right. I was right. Then he added $2,000, half of the market adjustment. Then he wrote plus taxes and fees. Then he wrote $849. I asked him if I could get something printed out that detailed the things I would be paying for him. He said, no, this is how they do it here. I wonder if he really kept saying that over and over again.
I write every time he said it, that she wrote it down, I put it in the report.
Yeah. To write again, asked me to use a calculator on my phone, do some math for him. He wrote...
I thought that was funny, too.
Yeah. Approximately 34,350 plates and 3410.
The gist was a bunch of notes that weren't very clear.
Yeah. I asked Michael to help me figure out the front door, out the door number, and he replied the only way to get an exact number is to go through financing, and that was it. I was out of there. And of course, this is that last comment I just wanted to think about is that you never know until you get out of the finance office what you really paid for the car. There's too much time taken in the negotiation and time with the salesman, too much time for you to look at things, to check things. So a lot of dealers save the big stuff, the big screwing, for the finance department, because if the finance department, you're defeated. You're in a state of euphoria. You bought that new car you've been thinking about and dreaming about. You're thinking about parked in your driveway, telling your family and friends, and so you walk into that finance department almost like in a daze, and that's where they hit you with a lot of extra fees and products that you didn't approve. And we talk too much about the sales process really here at Earl and Cars because it's impractical for us to go through the finance department. And Stu, I say this every couple of months. We probably need to do it, even if we only did it once every 6 months, to go through and actually buy a car, and we can turn around, sell it, get rid of it somehow or other, and the cost will be worth the true experience of what happens in the finance department, because they're spitting out reams of paper from that high-speed printer and that computer, and you sign your name so many times it would be impossible, even if you were an attorney, to read everything you signed. And they know that, and the dealers call it the box, as our regular listeners know, because there's so much deception goes there. So every time we do a shopping report like we just did here, think there may have been something waiting for Agent Lightning in the box that we don't know about. Time to vote.
Well, I don't have any coming in yet. Actually, there I got one. It's Bob. Should have been a B, but it's a C. C. This was pretty straightforward. South Florida fare. There wasn't nothing extraordinary.
Curve.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, really interesting. I thought the salesperson was interesting, and I also think it's interesting the differences between the addendums at the different Wallace dealerships. This was $39.95. We were at the other place last year with almost $13,000 of MSRP. Jonathan in Wellington says, I have my way of doing things too. And they don't include being rude to customers and adding fraudulent fees. He's giving them a D. There you go.
I've got Kirk in West by God, Virginia. Wait a minute while I pull my grade up front. My way of doing things. Well, with all the junk fees, my way of doing things earns you a solid F. Not even worth going to the box. Guy Larrabee, a C from me. Tim Gilliland, D- because that's the way we do things here. Donovan Lewis, giving them an F. Hate that. Need to finance to get the out-the-door price. I agree with him on that one. Brian Sidletko, F. Mark Smith, D-. Mark Ryan, a D-. And for me, I'm going to say D because the whole, we're not giving you the out-the-door price till you get in finance. I think that one's a little pushy. That's a little rude.
It's funny how many votes we get on YouTube, and we don't get many text.
I got another one. My text gang is slower than Rick's. We have another one, a D-. I don't have a name on this one, so I have 3 grades.
And Joseph Kelleher with an F.
All right.
What do you say, Mrs. Sunrise?
Okay, folks. I don't know. This is the way I do it. F. Between the out-the-door price that you can't get because you had to get into the box, or the auto butler, or the nitro fill, the whole shebang. This is the way I do it. F. And you can go to earloncars.com and you can read hundreds of mystery shopping reports, most of which reveal unfair and deceptive deceptive acts or practices on car dealers. Anyway.
One last one from Ron
That's it.
Siegel says, I just don't understand why people just don't get up and walk out whenever these addendums and add-ons come up. If they would do it all, if they would all do it, the practices would cease.
Yeah. Well, this is true, and Nancy makes the point. Why don't you complain to the Attorney General's office and We all say you should complain to your local state senators and the Federal Trade Commission, but the Federal Trade Commission won't do anything. By the way, just for your edification, the Florida Automobile Dealers Association is going after that FTC regulations that they're trying to put in big time. They're lobbying in Tallahassee now to prevent the Federal Trade Commission from having anything to say, and it's like a
Sedition.
huge effort going on. So we're getting close on time.
Yeah, you got to vote.
Huh?
You have to vote.
Oh, I'm gonna go with a C.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that's an average report. I want to say one thing about Michael, the salesperson. Remember, when you go to these dealerships, here's a guy. For all I know, he's an okay guy, and maybe he needed the money. He said he got bored, but maybe he was bored and also needed the money. And you go to a week for a car dealership, and they tell you, if you do exactly what I say, you can make $10,000 a month. But you have to do exactly what I say. And some of this is people that need money, working hard to feed their families, following orders, kind of like a Nuremberg thing.
Nuremberg defense, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that some of his behavior, like insisting on bringing the car up, is that they do that because so the manager can see that you're doing a demonstration. So that's for control of the customer.
Yeah.
So the managers were in view of it, and so that's the reason he had to make her walk so his manager would see he was following the rules. So you're absolutely right. Yeah.
That's what you do.
That's
Control, arrogance, and Michael is the old school. But Mike, hey, guess what? This is the 21st century now. We got to do things right. And as I said earlier, you can go to earloncars.com and you can read hundreds of mystery shopping reports that reveal unfair and deceptive acts and practices by these car dealers. We can put this to an end. We really can. I believe that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for tuning in to Earl on Cars. And we have, I think, 3 minutes. Okay, guys. What do you want to say?
I'm going to do a Big Dog
What do you
Ranch.
got to say?
I'm going to do a Big Dog Ranch commercial. Okay? Big Dog Ranch. Can you woof with your mask on? Very good.
Wow. That was the best one you ever did.
This is my
There's the little
first
dog.
book.
Oh.
My second book is coming along shortly, but this is a good one too. It's a handbook on how not to get ripped off by a car dealer. Go to Amazon, buy this book, and 100% of the proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch Rescue, which is the largest no-kill shelter in the Southeast. We have hundreds of dogs out there, and we vaccinate them. We deworm them. We have a vet, a full-time vet. We even have a maternity ward, and pregnant dogs that come in, we take the puppies and we find homes for the puppies and the mothers. And it's right out Okeechobee Road in Loxahatchee, but it's huge. We're also opening a new facility in South Carolina. So consider adopting a dog.
Or fostering a dog.
And if you don't adopt the dog, you can buy the book, and the money that you would have paid for the book, well, you still pay it, but it goes to Big Dog Ranch, not to me. I get zero on this. Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer.
Yeah, what do you think? Fostering a dog? Would you consider?
Yeah, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah, most people don't know. Go to Earl.
He
Go to
was
Earl
a great
Stewart
Dane.
on Cars Facebook page, and you can see our dog of the week. That's little Muffin. She just gave birth to 7 puppies, and she's waiting to be adopted.
She is very tired.
And she is just a beautiful little girl. Muffin. Okay, folks, again, thank you for tuning in. We'll be right back here next week, 8 a.m.